Barbara Juniper wrote that song.
That was so beautiful. The warm summer morn, you know, it's kind of not, but if you know what I mean. I would love to welcome all of you this morning, and this is the last Sunday of the year, and we're going to just kind of complete everything, but especially I would like to welcome people who are here for the very first time. And so we have a new brochure to give people that are here for the first time that tells you a lot about us, a lot of the questions that people have right off the bat. So if you're here for the first time or back after a long time, if you would raise your hand until somebody puts something in it, then we'll be able to welcome you warmly. Here's welcome and welcome, right here in the middle. And we hope that you feel that you've come home, because that's what we feel like every single Sunday. That's what I feel like. So you're here at the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, where our vision is awakening personal transformation, and our mission is teaching tools for positive change. And that's what we're going to do this morning, like we do every Sunday morning. And the theme, isn't it just so sweet and tender to do something for the last time? So as we go through these early slides in the talk, these are things that this one you've seen every single Sunday. This wonderful, it always reminds me of Cindy Lou somehow. Does that? Every Sunday, that's reminded me of Cindy Lou. Your Joyous Life has been our theme and continues to be our theme for this Sunday. And it takes on a special meaning as it's repeated for the last time. Not that this is the last joyful Sunday of your life, because all of our work this year is integrated or will be at the end of this Sunday. The theme for December is being perfect within the oneness. And I love this as the last spiritual lesson for the year. This is who you are right now. With all of the skills that you still have to master, and me too, we are perfect within the oneness. At this time, I want you to take a look at the altar, because this is the perfect altar for the last Sunday of the year. This is a Marsha Dawson creation with light and angels and Father Christmas and candles and trees, and I guess the lilies are on the practitioner table. How beautiful is that? So just enjoy this beautiful altar with all the glass and the light on it. The goal for December has been keep working toward life mastery. This, I think, is also the perfect suggestion for the last Sunday. It's not the end of our work. Are we clear on that? So we keep on working towards life mastery. So the title for my talk is Living Happily Ever After. And I love this quote that Mary found: it is only possible to live happily ever after, one that's on a day-to-day basis. So this is a saying. We all know this saying. It comes at the end of a story. It comes at the end of a hero's journey. It comes at the end of a fairy tale. And it comes at the end of a formulated kind of message that we're very familiar with on earth. And that is that we have worked hard for something. Or the character in the story or the fairy tale, the hero, has worked hard for something. There has been conflict, there has been challenge, there has been hardship, and the character has grown to the hero that that person took birth to experience, to grow into. And then the story resolves, and then that wonderful saying, and they lived happily ever after, means that there is a resolution, and they get to go home and rest for a minute. And because what happens with happily ever after is, of course, it's happily ever after until the next growth experience. And so that's where we are right now. We have worked through this year. We've had many, many tools for positive change. I hope that you have incorporated many of them into your life. I know I have. And so we get to live happily ever after and rest until the next challenge is put to us, which is going to be next Sunday, just telling you. So this is, we know a lot about joyful living. We know a lot about what makes us joyful because we have lived it this year. I remember there was a time in my life when I was doing a lot of relationship therapy, and I was going to a relationship therapist and reading a lot of books about how to make a relationship better. And I came across somebody who said, if you ask anyone what would make their relationship better, everybody always knows. And even if your first inclination is to say, this relationship would be better if they did this and this and this, you know, that might be true. But if you just sit with it for a little bit longer, you can say, this relationship would be better if I shifted in this way. If I moved in this direction. I know it would be better if I did more of this and less of this. Isn't that true? I mean, we know. So here is, we know what to do. And what could I do to, and we're gonna come up with some things, and then you're gonna be answering them, okay? This is going to be a participatory Sunday. I don't do this very often because I do have a little bit of control in me, and usually that shows up on Sunday mornings and at weddings. You know, I kind of run the show. But I'm going to be brave and see what happens. So it's kind of a year-end test also to see if you've gotten it this year, okay? So what could I do to be happier? Kindness. That is my first thing, Hillary. Be kind. There, one mind. Okay, we could be kind. What else could we do to be happier? Be grateful. Yeah, okay. That's the next one. And what else could we do to be happier? Be loving. Laugh more. Give back. Oh, wait, you know, now we're doing... Decide to be happy. That's right. Non-judgment. Great. What over? Arthur? Make time. Okay.
Choose consciously.
Choose consciously.
Embrace reality.
The big God reality, yes, because that's a really good one. Because when we say embrace reality, if we say, well, I have to be realistic, I can't have my vision too big because I have to be realistic. That's the realistic that is based, you know, with a small r and on circumstances. But if we are realistic according to God, anything is possible, right? Anything. So all these things that you said about being kind, generous, living your life purpose, telling the truth, making time, and so on, the idea, of course, to be happier is not to acquire more or to be selfish with our ego desires, but to live the life we took birth to live. So this week, Deborah Irwin sent out to the practitioners this wonderful article based on Viktor Frankl. Now, remember, Viktor Frankl was the Austrian psychiatrist who was in the concentration camps and saw people die right and left, and determined that when people survived the concentration camps, it was because their life had meaning. If their life had no meaning, they didn't have anything to live for. And so this is a quote from this article. Research has shown the single-minded pursuit of happiness is ironically leaving people less happy. It is the very pursuit of happiness, Frankl knew, that thwarts happiness. Research has further shown that having purpose and meaning in life increases overall well-being and life satisfaction, improves mental and physical health, enhances resiliency, enhances self-esteem, and decreases the chances of depression. So, there you have it. Live your life purpose. Okay, next, you ready for the next one? Yes, the next test question is, what could I do to feel connected to good? Service. And Jerry? Help others. Give it away. Meditate. Share. Be forgiving. Yes, yes. Appreciate what you have. I have looked for blessings and practiced gratitude, and all of the rest is also true. You know, we're going to say an affirmation later on in the service connected to the offering from Emma Curtis Hopkins, which is, there is good for me and I ought to have it. There is good for you and you ought to have it. There is good everywhere, and all of these things, the gratitude, the looking for it, the affirming it, all of that brings it into our life. And so we know what to do, right? Next one is, what could I do to experience more contentment? Count your blessings.
Be in the moment.
Be in the moment. Acceptance, right where it doesn't have to mean you have to live with it forever, but accepting where you are right there is excellent. Yes, what else? Smile more. Open to the good. And somebody said one for the last one about connected to your good, which is meditate. I would think meditate and pray would also contribute to your contentment. Breathe deep and stretch like a cat. Meow. That's great. Ah. Okay. And lastly, we could go on like this forever, but what could I do to grow spiritually? Take a class. That's right. Take a class, and you can sign up today. Get a practitioner. Absolutely. All right, so what we have been talking about in this part right here are tools for positive change that lead to your personal awakening. That's just what we were talking about, yes. Okay, you got that? I'll say that again. What we've just been doing is identifying tools for positive change that lead to personal transformation. Now, another thing that we do is listen to other people's stories of how to use the tools for personal awakening. So I sent out a request to the practitioners and the leadership of the community this Sunday. So I would like Marilyn Letzos, Francine, and Brent to come up and just line up right here. And they each have a story of happiness that they're going to share with you. Okay, good.
Right. Well, I have to say my entire life has been totally transformed because I walked into this room about 25 years ago. And I don't even recognize the person I used to be. It's just the spiritual lessons, the adventure of living has just gotten brighter and brighter and deeper and more wonderful. I've been a practitioner now for 21 years, and I'm still learning, and it's still getting better, and there's still so much more. It just simply has opened my eyes to the infinity that is right here inside and all the way outside, the infinite possibility. It staggers me to try to express this to you. And so I simply have to express my gratitude. It goes way beyond words. Thank you.
Beautiful.
When Karyl asked, I shared a demonstration that she wanted me to share. So I think many of you know, but we use the word demonstration to mean that when we practice our spiritual principles and we experience the result of those principles in action, when we become aware of it, we call that a demonstration. It's not a demonstration of spirit, it's a demonstration for us. So almost exactly a year ago, I was contacted by a publisher of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and they asked me if I would edit some long-lost lectures of Napoleon Hill into a new book called Your Right to Be Rich. Now, the publisher had a whole staff of editors, but said that they needed someone that knew the material and knew the principles of success. And even though I just met this editor one time ever and gave them my book, I hope they read it, they asked me to do this project. And the project was during the holidays last year, so it had a very tight timetable over the holidays, paid very, very little, and there was no chance of my getting any recognition for it because their policy is to not put anyone else's name on the books other than Napoleon Hill. I said yes immediately to that project. And that to me is a spiritual practice, to recognize that whatever shows up in our life, the exciting and the not so exciting, that it's showing up because of the mirror of our attitude, like Bodhi's song. It's a mirror. And then to listen to that powerful voice within of, is this mine to do? Is this a way for expansion, expression? Is this a way to happiness for me? And there was no question that was, I'd never edited someone else's work before, but I felt a strong yes, I did it. And the peeps around me know that I had so much fun. I was just so alive in I felt such privilege being the person that got to see the original words of Napoleon Hill, and I felt so humbled by the privilege of reformulating them in a way that would bring so much to so many people. I loved that project so much that when it was done, I turned it in on time, and when it was done, the editor very kindly actually gave me a little more money because he thought it was well done. They made very little changes to it. So that was happiness while I did it. But about 2 weeks ago, I got an email from this publisher, and he said, I'm sending you copies of the book, it's out now, and I want you to know that on the inside of the cover, your name is written as editorial director. Uh-huh. And he said, we had never done this, they'd never done it before, and he said, I've never seen this in my 19 years working with this foundation. So it's a demonstration of saying yes, and regardless of the conditions and circumstances, just knowing that it will lead to good and more good, and having that faith. That's happiness, and that's our principles. So, thank you.
I think it's kind of ironic because Karyl was just saying earlier that she has some control on Sunday morning. And then she gives me the mic. I've been thinking about this. I'll just briefly, last night I watched a movie. It was Hector Goes in Search of Happiness. It was a cute movie, but happiness isn't something. It's not something. It's not somewhere. It's an awareness. It's an essence. And then also in this morning's paper, read it. Stephen Curry was named the Male Athlete of the Year by the Associated Press. Only the fourth basketball player in 85 years to be named that. He talks about everybody can be happy. Everybody can do the things they want to do. Basketball. There's basketball courts everywhere. Go to a playground, go to a rec center. Practice dribbling, shooting, and passing. I think happiness in life is a lot like that too. I'll just share with what I do every morning when I wake up. It's a Bible quote. I'm not a Bible person, you know that, but it just says, this is the day the Lord has made, and I rejoice in it. And then I plan my day before I put my feet on the ground. Now, I'm not planning my schedule. I plan to be aware. I plan to see the good in everything and everyone. I desire to be aware of the consciousness of life. And as I go through that day, and then I follow that with my meditation and my morning reading. But also another Bible quote pops up, and it's when Jesus said, "Resist not evil." And you go like, well, that doesn't make sense. We're supposed to resist evil. No. When he was talking about evil, he's talking about human conditions, lack, limitation, fear, anger, jealousy. Do not resist those. Do not fight those, because they only get stronger and they persist. So you just accept them, and knowing that God's grace is there always. And as you do this, God's grace unfolds, and that's what happiness is God's grace, that gift from God. So as I go through my day, I choose consciously to be aware, to walk in beauty, and to see the good and the divine in everyone, everything, and every situation.
Beautiful. Yay, for everybody. Francine, Brent, and Marilyn, thank you, thank you, thank you. So it's doable. It's doable. We just keep up with our tools, and we get happier and happier and happier. But I want to do one more thing, and that is what keeps us from this joy and what can be done about it. Because we all have these times when we're not joyful, or maybe it's a whole long stretch of not joyful, and there's always something to be done. So what keeps us from this joy, I think the biggest thing is laziness. It's just, this is work. You know, when you might have been raised in another tradition where if you pray and you don't get what you want, you say, well, that's God's will, and you just go through life the same, kind of, pretty much. We are not about that. We are about teaching tools for positive change that you use so that your life can transform. So laziness means to break out of selfishness and victimhood, to break out of family patterning, and to break out of sensory distractions, kind of like what Tom was talking about with the cell phones and television and things like that. So when we actually work on our spiritual growth, we are using discipline, and another word that is very close to discipline is disciple. We are being a disciple to our own spiritual growth. So if you suffer from laziness, this is a hard thing to get over by yourself. So you can partner with a friend. The power of two or more gathering for truth's sake is absolutely powerful. So how many have, you can do this by raising your hand, how many have a long-time prayer partner that they use? Okay, Janet, come up here. Very briefly, tell us how you found your prayer partner.
Well, by taking classes.
Posey Lyon was a practitioner in one of my early classes in Roots, and I came to know her, her heart, her essence, her way of being, and to deeply trust spirit in her. And through the years, she was initially my practitioner, then we became friends, and we are now in a prayer partnership that includes our beloved Francine. So the three of us pray weekly together. And it is such a synthesis and synergy and symphony of spirit, because if one of us is down, the others can lift up. And we are able to flow through the waters of life with some grace, thanks to the power of prayer and partnership.
And how long have you been prayer partners together?
Oh gosh, well, I think the three of us have committed to a prayer practice together for at least 2 years, maybe 3. Yeah.
Great, great. How many of you have had prayer partnerships for 3 years or longer? It really works because you really know each other. Okay, another reason that keeps us from joy is discouragement. We do our work, or we think we're doing our work, but we're not doing our work very effectively, and nothing seems to happen. The solution, one of the solutions for that is to just keep coming here. Because keep coming here to service, keep coming here to classes, because when you share in community, you know that you are not alone. And you share that, you know, nothing's happening in your prayer life or in your treatment life, and then you get support for that. Again, rather than going it alone. Next, what keeps us from this joy is having a judgment about ourselves. We're hard on ourselves. And I think that it's pretty common for us to have internalized a control mechanism called punishment. A lot of us were raised with some kind of punishment, even gentle punishment like timeouts or something that every family needs to put in place if you've got active children with a mind of their own. So, but if we internalize this model of punishment, that I have done something bad and so I must be punished, if we are in the habit of judging ourselves, we are in the habit of punishing ourselves all the time. And the greatest way to punish yourself is to dislike or hate the divine being that you are. And that stands in the way of so much joy. And so the solution for that is to love yourself no matter what. And I know that's kind of an easy answer, but I found this great quote from Karyl Gibran, who said, "And God said, 'Love your enemy.' And I obeyed him and loved myself." So lastly, what keeps us from this joy is negative habits. And we all have some. We all have negative habits that we've grown up with that impact us spiritually. And sometimes these negative habits we work on our whole lives. We recognize them and think, oh, there it is again. Okay, I'm going to tuck you under my arm and go do this anyway. And so it's not like we get rid of them entirely sometimes, but we learn to work with them. Some negative habits are sorting for problems, and nothing that what we look for displeases us. We complain, or we project some judgment that we have on ourselves onto somebody else. We feel separate from our good. We practice not noticing. We practice hurrying. We practice being angry. We practice being unforgiving. Whatever it is that is our comfortable go-to thing that impoverishes our soul, that keeps us from joy. So the solution to that comes from Bob Newhart. So I ran across this on YouTube this week. This was a little segment from Bob Newhart from a long time ago. You know, Bob Newhart was this therapist. And so he has this poor woman come in, and he says, now, the way I work is your fee is going to be $5, and I can fix anything about you in 5 minutes. Now, does that suit your plans? Is that okay with you? 5 minutes, you're going to be all well, and it's going to cost you the maximum of $5. And she said, well, yeah. And so Bob Newhart said, well, okay, so tell me what's wrong. And she said, oh, well, I'm afraid of being buried alive in a box. Bob Newhart kind of nodded. Anything else? No, I'm just so afraid of being buried alive in a box. And so Bob Newhart said, have you ever been buried alive in a box? And he said, no, but when I think about it, I just get all sweaty, and it's really, really scary. And so Bob Newhart said, okay, all right, I think I have this. And so I'm going to I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you what you're going to do, okay? Stop it. And she said, well, but I think about it and I get, stop it. And so that was the therapy. And he said, now, well, that's 3 minutes, so you owe me $3. So the negative habit solution is just change. And the way you do that is you change once, and then you develop a strategy for keeping that change going. And if you need help in creating a strategy, go see a practitioner, and they will do something a little bit more satisfying than say, stop it! Okay? So this is it. This is kind of the conclusion of the whole year. And so this is the joyful result of this work. If we just did the conclusion here today, if we just did what I talked about and what other people talked about today, if we partnered with a friend, we would have connection. If we kept coming here, we would have spiritual community. If we refrained from punishing ourselves with self-hate and instead loved ourselves, we would have self-love with that capital S. And if we worked on our negative habits and changed and kept the change going, we would have the momentum of really having an opportunity to change a habit. So if you look at these things, if at the conclusion of this year, we said to ourselves, we have established connection, community, self-love, and momentum. That would be a great thing to not only live happily ever after, and not only to be able to face our next challenge, but it would heal not only us, but the entire planet with just these things. So, are you with me here? Are you with me with these things? This is what we do here, but we have to do it and not just think about it. So coming back now to the spiritual principles that we have talked about. The first is spiritual practice produces happiness and contentment. And the next one I really like, and I'm going to have to explain it a little bit. Spiritual work and growth, starting right where we are assured. What that means is, if we're still here, we have growth to accomplish, and we have work to do. We are all still here. And so starting right where we are, if we do the work, the spiritual growth is absolutely assured. Okay? So to begin the ending of the end, the conclusion of the talk, when I wish you Happy New Year, it is based on all of the work that you have done this year. This is the year that you complete and stand on to be able to say, my next year is going to be the happiest year of my life because of the work that I have done this year. So this is what I wish for you and for me as we finish up this year and move into next. The going deeper is, I trust myself. And, oh no, it isn't. Well, I didn't change that from, I trust myself and I trust God. That was last week, and we'll do that. This week is I keep working and I keep working. Because we're still here, right? We are still here. So with that, coming down to the conclusion of the final message for 2015, I would like to do the inner work with you. So it is that conscious completion is one of the most powerful spiritual tools that we have, because it enables us to finish something and take our energy that we have invested in this thing that is finished and take the energy back into ourselves so that it is ready to be given again. Every conscious completion helps us with the next completion and the next and the next. Every conscious completion frees up energy in our soul for our next great journey. And so in order to complete this year, the final opportunity to release and to accept is upon us. If you would put your right hand over your heart. Now the right side in ancient wisdom is the side that moves from us. It is that directing energy. It's also the releasing energy. It's that takes wisdom and shares it. It takes love and shares it. It takes the creative urge within us and points the direction to our creation. And it also takes what is no longer necessary and simply releases it into the world where it is neutralized. And so we search ourselves. Is there a habit? Is there a self-judgment? Is there a laziness or a discouragement or anything else that we can release at this time? And let it just come to the surface, and then take your hand with this releasing in it, and then hold it out and turn it over like you're emptying your hand. And what no longer serves you is given to the earth. And the earth knows what to do with all energy. Just change it into potential growth. And then focusing your attention on your left side, which is receptive. And holding your left hand out with the palm up in the traditional mudra of acceptance. What is it that your soul longs for more of in this moment? More self-love, more connection, more wisdom, answers, whatever it is. God is pressing in on us at every side, ready to give whatever we need. And let it appear. You don't need to look at it, but just know that it is in your hand what you want, what you long for. Knowing that whatever it is you long for will probably be given again, because we just process things through us and give it again. So this giving, this accepting in order to give, take that left hand and fill your heart with that. And then putting both hands together, palms together in the mudra of prayer. We give thanks for this year of life. We give thanks for this year of experiences. We give thanks for this year of growth and friendship. We give thanks for all of the lessons that we have learned well and all the ones that we vow to keep working on. We give thanks for our relationship with Spirit and with each other. We give thanks for our health. We give thanks for our prosperity. We give thanks for the love in our life. and our ability to dedicate our work to that for which we took birth. All is well with us as we conclude the year called 2015. And so it is. Amen.